But a lot of the sporting attention in Australia this week and for the next few months is going to be on what should be a great test series between Australia and India. Big part of our coverage right here on SEN again will be Bharat Sundaresan, and he joins us this morning. Hello, Bharat.
Good morning, Joseph here.
Very well. Nice to see you on the screens of Sunrise this morning as well. You've just turned into a superstar, you have.
Look, who doesn't want to watch a lot of color on their television screens first thing in the morning as they sit down, settle down with a cup of coffee?
Absolutely. Now, you've been watching the Indians closely, which I guess is not that easy to do. It's a lot of cloak and dagger stuff with India when it comes to their net sessions so far.
I wouldn't say I've been watching it closely because I've had to stand on an empty parking lot some 400 meters away from the WACA with my binoculars. It all sounds very creepy. It is not. It is just part of covering Indian cricket. But yeah, I mean, through my binoculars, I can say I've got a close view at what India have been up to over the last 3 days at the WACA. So a couple of injury concerns, majorly Shubman Gill, who's been their number 3 for a while now. Looks like he's going to miss this first test, though nothing is official from India, but nothing ever is official from India. We'll just have to wait till that playing 11 is announced. But yeah, I mean, he's fractured his thumb while taking a catch. KL Rahul was hit on his elbow, but he batted for a long time yesterday, so he might be fine. But yeah, I mean, it's a makeshift top 3 for India at the moment.
So just on that with Shubman Gill, if it is a fractured thumb, I mean, that would indicate it'd be more than one test match on the sidelines, wouldn't it?
Yeah, the only advantage he has for recovering from the injury is the 10-day gap between the first test and the second test. So Adelaide is not before December 6th. So in case, and that's what, almost 3 weeks away from now. So probably that'll be his best chance to get fit for that. And we're also hearing that by then Rohit Sharma would have also landed on these shores now that he's become a father for a second time, and both baby and mother are fine. So congratulations to them. But it is up in the air though. I mean, and like I said, we'll just have to wait and watch with India. But well, the other thing I did notice is a lot of edges and a lot of nicks, and I just have a sneaky feeling if you are Alex Carey or the Australian slip cordon, it could be a good summer for you to stat pad and really improve on those numbers.
Hey, you mentioned the captain there, Rohit Sharma. So when do we expect him to arrive?
From a report, and you'll hear me use this expression and term a lot over the next 2 months, from reports back in India. Rohit Sharma has informed the BCCI that he wants to stay home with his wife and his newborn for another week. So my best guess would be he might be here to play that 2-day Canberra game, the Prime Minister's 11 game, because that's a pink ball test. And Rohit Sharma has played only one pink ball test going back to 2019. So probably that would be my best guess. But yeah, I think he should be here for the second test in Adelaide, which also, I mean, leaves us with the tantalizing prospect of India being led by Jasprit Bumrah against Pat Cummins' Australia.
So, Bharat, I mean, obviously, Australia's got their issues to deal with at the moment. Of course, we've got a new opening bat. We don't know how that's going to go. And some of our very best batters, for example, Marnus and Steve Smith, haven't been in the best of form. But when you think of this preparation for India, the captain's not going to be there for the first test. There's some players being hit in the nets. There's no Mohammad Shami, particularly for the start of the series. It doesn't, and what happened against New Zealand in their most recent series, it seems like a pretty unsettling build-up for such a big test series for India. Would that be fair to say?
Oh, very fair to say. A new coach as well, and a coach who has comes across very differently to what we've been used to in Australia for the last 3 tours, because you had Ravi Shastri at the helm, so it's very different now having Ravi in the commentary box. But Gautam Gambhir, he's an intense man. He's a fiery man. We've already seen him fire shots at Ricky Ponting. And my big question is, if India do suffer a big defeat at the start of the series, can this particular team fight back, come back? Is the dressing room, together enough, motivated enough as a group to come back from that? So, I mean, nothing's really going their way at the moment. You're right. And there's so much speculation about probably even a couple of debutants in that Perth test. There's some talk that the all-rounder Nitish Kumar Reddy is going to play, maybe even Harshit Rana. very untested young 20-year-olds, really. So, yeah, I mean, a lot remains to be seen. And, yeah, we still have 4 days to go for the start of that first test. But already you can see the anticipation is kind of littered with a lot of uncertainty.
Speaking to Bharat Sundaresan, he's been watching the Indians as closely as he can as they prepare for this first test against Australia in Perth. You mentioned Nitish Kumar Reddy there. Do you think he'll play?
I mean, again, what did I say? Reports from India suggest that he is. I mean, he's a likely candidate to play. And I just saw the coach and the senior players fussing around him a lot yesterday. It would be quite a remarkable story if he does, because he was. I mean, yes, he had a good Ranji Trophy season last year. He's 21, but the world had never heard of him before. Pat Cummins took him under his wing at Sunrisers Hyderabad this year in the IPL, and his life has turned around. I mean, he's from nowhere. He's suddenly in the India A squad, and now he's in the Test squad. And he's the only seam bowling all-round option India have and have had in a long time. So, just knowing how this team management goes about team selection, matchups, and all of that, I won't be surprised if we see the youngster making his debut, bat at 7, and bowl pretty useful seam up as well. So. Yeah, we'll have to wait, because also India has been used to playing Shardul Thakur, who we've seen on these shows before, for their away tests for the last few years. There is no Shardul, so you'd believe it has to be Nitish Kumar Reddy, because there's no other all-rounder in the side.
So what are the, in your terms, Bharat, what are the reports suggesting about this the problem that Virat Kohli had that saw him sent for scans? Do we know what the injury issue is there with Virat?
That was a bizarre one, because I read about that as well. But I mean, ever since I've landed in out and about, he had 2 hits in the middle on Friday, and then also 2 long hits in the net, and he was at slip probably throughout the day. On Saturday, took a really sharp catch as well, diving to his right. I didn't spot him yesterday at practice, but whatever those scans are, I don't think there's anything of concern. Because, like I said, I mean, ever since we heard about the scans, he's been out and about and looking as sprightly as ever. So I think he should be fine.
It's a big series for him. Any series he plays is a big series, but we know his form hasn't been at the best. We know Australia will come really hard for him. Have you got the confidence that Virat still has he still got a big series in him? It's such an important series. Do you think he can get somewhere back to the form that he's been in for most of his career, but certainly in recent times it's been a battle for him?
It has. It really has. And if there's one place, though, in the world, in the cricket world, where Virat Kohli can just by being here lift himself up and kind of get back to the Virat Kohli that we are used to seeing, it is Australia. And it's funny, I was just watching some clip earlier today of a Virat Kohli press conference from the MCG when he was in the midst of that battle with Mitchell Johnson. I heard my silly voice pop up at the press conference, so that always makes you cringe, doesn't it? But it's just the look in his eyes. There's something about Virat Kohli that changes when he's here. But he's in a good space. His wife and kids are here on tour with him, and he would want to say goodbye to Australia the only way he knows to, which is kind of proving a point. And I think, even these early statements from, some of the Australian legends about his form and how and early, cheap dismissals in Perth could really derail his series. Those are the kind of things Virat feeds off, because he doesn't get it on the field anymore from Australia. Nobody's really biting into him or chucking balls at him like we saw in 2014. So it needs to come from somewhere. Probably it'll come from these off-field comments, or so we hope, as neutral fans, really.
Absolutely. Is there someone India will target in the Australian team, do you think? Will it be Nathan McSweeney? Will it be a Labuschagne or Smith that haven't been in the best of form? Is there someone they'll go really hard at?
No, I think it'll be more a case of attacking that batting lineup, because it's not a batting lineup which is fired consistently, the Australian one. And, we saw what happened last summer. There was this 1 century that came from David Warner on the first morning of the summer. And there are a few experienced batters there whose numbers have dipped in the last couple of years. So, that is exactly what they will want to exploit, because, for all of India's batting concerns, you look at that bowling lineup led by Jasprit Bumrah, and Bumrah is one of those freaks of nature, right? He can literally turn a test match around in a couple of spells. So, yeah, it's not going to be as straightforward as a lot of people are making it out to be, just because India have come here on the back of a whitewash, and also, because they have injury concerns and they look unsettled at the moment. But like, yeah, beware, what Bumrah can deliver, and not to forget even the likes of R. Ashwin if he does get a test, and some of these young fast bowlers. So the one name I will put out there is Harshit Rana. He's played just 10 games. But just watching him in training the last couple of days, Jules, there is something about him. There's not just with his bowling, but there's a young Virat Kohli in him, the feistiness and all of that. So I think Australia might well find someone new in this Indian team to get behind.
So before I let you go, Bharat, what's the feeling back in India about this series? I mean, India's had a great time against Australia home and away in recent times, but given what happened in New Zealand and some of the issues with the team we've been discussing, what's the feeling in India about this series?
I think it's good for this Indian team that there's a bit of a gap between that last test in Mumbai and where we are now. Because in that first week, it felt like all of India had turned on this team. Which is not new. It happens when there is a disappointing slate of results against New Zealand. But at the same time, I know the Ashes get spoken up a lot in this part of the world, but Australia-India is the rivalry that matters to most Indians, probably all Indians. And they're not very confident right now, I can tell you that much, based on what the responses on social media. They've all turned into Glenn McGrath and are predicting a 5-0 upset, where Australia are going to smash India. But it will all change in one good session. If say Australia bat first in Perth and they're 30 for 3 or 3 for 30, trust me, India will be back. The 1.4 billion Indians will be back on India's side. So there is a lot of nerves, a lot of anticipation, but all I'll say is alarm clocks are already set in India, all around India. They'll all be waking up very early on Friday morning, and that'll be their routine for the next 2 months.
And so what's up for you next, Bharat? Down to the nets or just doing some makeup for your next TV appearance? What's happening for you in the next hour or so?
Natural, Jules.
You don't need makeup. What exactly? You don't need makeup.
No, I mean, look, I have a couple of hours to kill. I'm up and about already. It's still 6:30 here in Perth. No, the Australians have their first training session, so they've all assembled overnight. So they have a centre wicket practice at the Wacker before the whole show moves to the Optus Stadium tomorrow. So yeah, just go and say hello to my mates Manas and Steve as they have their first hit of the summer. It's going to be many sessions to come with them in the nets and me right behind them.
Beautiful, Bharat. We can't wait for it to get underway. It feels like a massive build-up to this series, but we can't wait till it gets underway in Perth on Friday. Thanks for your time this morning. We'll chat again soon.
Can't wait, Jules. Thank you so much for having me on.